Let me start off today's topic by asking you this question. If you didn't have your dad in your life, how did that make you feel? Did it make you feel angry? Did it make you feel hurt? Did it make you feel unloved or unwanted? Like you weren't good enough? If you've ever felt any of those things, I'm right there with you. For me, my dad was in and out of my life when he wanted to be. And it was because of the choices that he made, even the lack of choices, that not only put me in the typical stereotype of the fatherless young black kid, but it also led me to making one of the best choices I've ever made in my life up until this point. And at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about what that choice was, and I want you to try it for yourself, and I hope it works for you just like it did for me. But let's take a look at what a dad does and how what they do is so important for children. In the traditional sense, a father protects. He protects his kids from physical harm, from negative, unhealthy outside influences. A father also provides, not just the typical things like money, food, clothes, etc., but also things like love, identity, a sense of approval or acceptance that kids need to feel validated with themselves. The father is also the disciplinarian, not just in the sense of grounding the kids or punishing them when they do something wrong, but discipline through guidance and discipline through this type of blueprint, this basic blueprint that we can live by, that we can add to or take away from as we grow into adulthood. Discipline in the sense of morals and beliefs. Everything I just listed is a basic list of qualities and traits that a father has in the traditional sense. There's other stuff, sure, but I didn't want to make the list too long. So the three that I mentioned are like the main three that you would think of. I think that it needs to be said that when you help to create a child, it is your responsibility and obligation to help take care of that child. And I know there are instances where children are conceived unwillingly, but I'll get into that in another topic. Now that we've kind of looked at the general idea of what a dad does, let me share with you my personal experience that I had and how not having a dad affected me. And real quick, I want to let it be known that I understand there are a variety of factors that contribute to dads not being in their kids' lives. Not being taught how to by their fathers, being deceased, being in prison, etc. My dad falls into the first category, and honestly, this is what my dad reminds me of.
What do you want?
You know what I want, Charity. I'm here to pick up my son. Hey, son. All right, I'm out. I'll be back next week to pick him up again.
My dad had kids by 3 different women that I know of, and I remember the days he'd say he would come over for a visit, and I would just get so excited, and he would end up not showing up, would even call and say, hey, like I thought I was going to be able to make it, but I won't be able to this time. He wouldn't even call, and I would just cry my little eyes out, because that hurts, Like your dad is like the person you look up to. Dad's somebody you want to spend time with. So having that happen all the time, it definitely hurt. It definitely hurt. More often than not, when I would call him, he wouldn't answer or even call me back. When he would have me on one of his days to pick me up, and I would say I need to get new school clothes, it was always, oh, I can't do it this time. And he would say that every time. So my mother was the one that fed me and took care of me, while my dad sometimes showed up and sometimes picked me up on the days he was supposed to. Like, while I never hated my brothers and sisters, I admit that I was jealous of them for a long time because my dad was very active in their lives compared to me. And that made me feel like the black sheep out of all of his kids because it made me feel like I wasn't good enough to have a relationship with him the same way that they did. And the days that he would pick me up and take me to his house, I spent more time with my brothers and sisters than I did with him. And while it was nice to be able to see my brothers and sisters, me and him never took the time to actually build that father-son type of relationship that I wanted and needed. So after enough of seeing her son hurting and crying, my mom gave my dad a choice. Either be in my life or don't be in my life. And my dad pretty much chose not to be in my life. And it was that decision that he made that subconsciously fueled so much hate and anger inside of me for a lot of years. Anger that I eventually came to confront and dissect and treat. As I got older, different role models came into my life. And while that benefited me in the sense of, I kind of made my own blueprint to live by from, like, I took all the good stuff that they gave me and took out all the bad stuff. But even though I was getting that, there was still something missing. The problem was I wasn't getting this from the person that I wanted it from the most. And now I want to talk about how I overcame all that anger and hurt that I had built up in me for so long. And it comes in the form of 2 steps. The first thing I did was I took all those painful memories and feelings and I promised myself that I would never put my kids through that same experience. The second thing that I did was I had to forgive my dad, because at the end of the day, it wasn't necessarily his fault. Because this is the thing about kids. Kids are way smarter than we give them credit for. Their brains are constantly soaking up all this information. As parents, we are the ones that they look to the most. Everything they learn, for the most part, they learn from us. I remember one time I was dating this girl. It was about 5-6 years ago. And me, her, and her son went out to eat. And I had my little steak and whatever else I had. And I was cutting up my steak with my fork and my knife, how you normally would. And her son saw me do that. And he started copying me. And I seen that, and on the inside, I'm like, and it felt good. It felt good to experience that. I said all that to say that we as men, we as black men, have to do better as fathers. We have to be there more. We have to do more. We have to teach more. And I want to challenge you all to try this. If you're a man watching this video, a black man especially, and you've had this type of anger towards your dad for years, try to forgive him. Try to forgive him and move on with your life. And if you're somebody that wants to have kids someday, make the decision right now to not treat your kids the way you were treated, because that's how change starts. It starts with one decision. But that's all the time I have for today. If you feel like this video was helpful or insightful or relatable, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next video.